So today we'll be talking about Freida McFadden. Freida McFadden is is an American author, and she's also like a physician. So she is in the medical field. So she was born in New York City on May 1st. No year here. It's a lady, so why do we need to know the year she was born? So let's take May 1st. And that's all she puts on her website as well. So her books are mostly set in New York City, although she now lives in Boston, and she's a practicing physician specializing in brain injury. So, as per Freda on her website, she lives with a family and a black cat in a centuries-old 3-story home overlooking the ocean. So the centuries-old home has a staircase that creaks and moans with every step, and nobody could hear you even if you scream. But maybe if you scream loud, maybe you can hear. Maybe, right? That's like the setting. Her novels are also equally capturing, and in the narrative, like the descriptions are amazing. So she is. Penned many best-selling psychological thrillers and also a medical humor novel. Her first novel was self-published on Amazon KDP. I think it was year 2013, and after that she has written many novels which are published using the traditional house or different traditional houses of publishing. So very prolific novelist, I would say. And Freda's work has been also selected by Amazon's editors for the best books of the year. And she's also a winner for the International Thriller Writers Award. Her genre is what I would call thriller, but they are unique thrillers. It's like a simple person that we usually deal with around in our home, how they can be leading us on a thrilling adventure, or usual scenarios where they can take you on a sweeping adventure thriller. But these are all psychological thrillers. So most of her novels have been translated into 40 languages. So very prolific author, I would say. The first one we'll be going over is her latest, I think. It's called The Coworker, or the latest one I have read. The Coworker, it's of course of something to do with coworker within the office environment, right? So that's how the novel centers around two women. They are coworkers, and Dawn Schiff, she's strange. At least everyone thinks that she is strange. She is working at this company, a nutritional supplement company called Vixen, and she works as an accountant in this company. She never says the right thing, or has never been known to say the right thing. She has no friends, or very few friends, and she's always at her desk precisely right at 8:45 a.m. in the morning. So when Dawn doesn't show up to the office one morning, her co-worker Natalie Farrell is surprised. And Natalie, by the way, is very beautiful and very popular, and she's the top sales representative for 5 years in a row, and also in the running. And Natalie is surprised by the absence of Dawn Schiff. So then, at the same time, Natalie receives an unsettling anonymous phone call that changes everything. It says something that Dawn needs help, and it turns out like Dawn wasn't just an awkward outsider, but she was being targeted by someone else within the company, and that's where this whole office drama of co-workers sets in. That's the overall setup and the narrative of the novel, right? And Natalie is kind of tied to Dawn. She finds herself caught in this twisted game of cat and mouse that leaves her wondering. The The office also has a lot of secrets among people, and they are harboring a lot of secrets. And Natalie herself is harboring a secret. Dawn herself had some harbored secrets. So all of these people at the office are tied in, and a very realistic scenario kind of is set up, right? And there is a lot of evidence that points to Natalie, and there are multiple twists and turns in the plot, and where kind of it makes Natalie wonder who's the real victim in this whole scenario. So that's the situation that gets set up. But one thing I think is very clear for Natalie, that somebody hated Dawn Shelf so much that they have reason enough to kill. So it's filled with a lot of suspenseful moments and revelations that keep happening as the reader keeps progressing, and it keeps you guessing until the very end. You never get like any sort of immediate answer in the middle of the chapter. So that's the signature of a very good psychological thriller writer, right? And weaving in realistic scenarios that would happen in everyday life, and bringing some thriller out of it. That's what Freida McFadden is known for. There is a lot of psychological depth that adds layers to the characters' motivations and why they are taking those actions. It combines a lot of psychological insight as well from sort of creating that thrill within the mystery. So I found it personally very engrossing and thought-provoking as a reader. So I would certainly recommend The Coworker for a read. The next one is Do You Remember? And a very, very interesting one. If I have to pick one, this would be among the top, I would say, among the top 5 of Freida McFadden. So do you remember Tess Strabel? She can't recognize her own face. She can't recognize her own home, so her bedroom seems very unfamiliar, and she can't remember the handsome stranger that is lying next to her in the bed. So for Tess, it appears a stranger who now claims that he is the husband. And Tess also reads a letter which she had written in her own handwriting, composed during when her days were very clear, explaining her life as it now exists. So she was in a terrible car accident 1 year ago, and every morning she wakes up to remember most of the last decade, and sort of a memory loss, including her own wedding. She has no choice but to accept her now life and hope the memory will return someday. And after all, there is many photos, the wedding photos that are there on the drawer or spread out within the home. And the person who is her husband is also very kind, and also treating her kindly, right? And but Tess doesn't seem to remember any of that, any of the interaction with her husband and so on. But she thinks that he is caring for her well-being, and then Tess receives a text message on her phone, and that changes everything, right? And the plot moves from there into a very interesting thriller. The text says, "Don't trust the man who calls himself your husband," and that takes you on a wild ride as a reader. So, a very wonderful read. The Locked Door, another one by Freida McFadden. It goes through the story of 11-year-old Nora Davis. She stays at this home, and she's up in her bedroom doing homework, and she has no idea that her father was women in the basement while she was doing her homework. So until one day, finally, police end up on the trail of her father, and they arrive at the front door. So, and basically, decades later, Nora's father is spending his life in prison behind the bars, and he has been convicted for 18 lives. So he's never going to get out. And being a serial killer, he's never going to get out for this life, but he has been sentenced for about 18 lives. So meanwhile, at this time, Nora has become a successful surgeon, and but with her own solitary existence. And she also had changed her last name, so nobody recognizes her connection to the father, who was a serial killer and sitting in prison. So, and this was name change was done from the recommendation of her grandmother, who took care of her after the police arrested her father. So nobody knows her father is a serial killer. And Nora also intends to keep it that way, right? Going about the normal life as a surgeon and continue. So then Nora discovers one of her young female patients has been murdered. And the way this patient was murdered, it's the same unique and horrific signature that her father used to kill all the victims. So it seems like somebody out there knows who Nora is, and they want to take her. They want Nora to take the fall of this unthinkable crime of the murder of the patient. But she's not the killer like her father. So the police can't find anything on her, but they shouldn't go looking down in her basement. She also has harboring some secrets. So that's where it says some doors are locked for a reason. That's the locked door for you. And a very interesting plot and a very interesting read that takes you on a thrilling ride. The next one is the surrogate mother. So this is a person, as it says, she made your dreams come true. So who is that, right? I mean, that's the nipple on the book cover. I love these book covers sometimes, and this is one of them. I think I've always admired book covers, and in the previous videos also I have talked about some of the book covers I have personally admired and loved them. So I think this is one of them, and it shows a tube and and a nipple there, right? So Abby wants a baby, right, more than anything, and but she has been trying these infertility treatments and different adoptions. Nothing has come through, and finally she is coming to an almost conclusion that motherhood is not in her future. But then her personal assistant, Monica, makes a generous offer, right? That will make all of Abby's dreams come true. Monica wants to be the surrogate mother of Abby's child. So Abby then does some background check. She has a call with Monica's mother and the roommate, who all describe Monica as a perfect saint in human form. But pretty soon, a lot of red flags start to appear, and it seems like although she felt like her dreams were going to come true, all of Abby's nightmares, which certainly are not her dreams, are about to come true. So it turns out Monica is not who she is claiming to be, and the woman now carrying Abby's child has a lot of twisted secrets of her own. So Monica will not stop at anything to get what she wants. So it's an edge of the seat psychological thriller. Many twists and turns you'll find along the way, and I think it was a satisfying read for me. And hats off to Freida McFadden. I think she weaves these thrillers amazingly with sort of the realistic scenarios that all of us think that could happen, right? So yeah, that's what with Freida McFadden. Go ahead, and I have read some of her novels. The Housemaid, by the way, you will get to see that as a movie, and Rebecca Sonnenstein, who adapted The Boys and many other movies. She's adapting The Housemaid, and it will be turning into a movie pretty soon. And The Gift, another one from Freida McFadden. The Inmate, She's a very prolific author, and as I'm listing here, you can see the ex, the housemaid is watching, and then the wife upstairs. So all these are good reads.